I recently watched, today is 6/24, 2018. Last Sunday I watched a Fatherless America, a documentary by Tommy Sotomayor, and it was pretty, it was okay. It was insightful. It wasn't no blame game or nothing like that. It was pretty balanced. It was very balanced, very balanced. And I want to add to that. I spoke on, let's say, my birthday. It was last June. It was June 10th, the last video I'd done. It was, and I kind of touched on that. That, even though my friend told me about a day or two before it was to air on Father's Day 2019. I didn't know about it when I spoke on my birthday. The points that may correlate with it was totally unknown to what was coming. So, but I do want to, some things I said, I kind of want to go back and expand on to give a better, clarity. But in the video, which I had just brushed myself up on, because I had a lot of stuff going on my mind at that time, but other things have came up. New study came to be, a new opportunity, and this was supposed to be done last Monday. 17th, couldn't do it. But let's see what I can do on this. I hate that some other things came up and I just got kind of the itinerary, the contents, table of contents in my mind, just like I had said and did an hour last time. I was able to, no problem. This time it's kind of a struggle because so much is like, okay, what to leave out, what to put in. So I did a bulletin last week, and yeah. And in the video, I did touch on the laws and feminist groups that are making equal child access hard, which you get to the bottom of it. In my mind, how I've known in my understanding history in this country, when movements, let's say feminist movements, which we know was started by men to bring about benefit for men only, and I'm talking about those few wealthy men. It was Edward Bernays who was approached to use the women's suffrage movement to get women smoking cigarettes. The interview with Aaron Russo and Alex Jones, where Rockefeller, with all them damn heart transplants, got the damn zipper on his chest, stated, we funded the women's movement. Hell, that makes no sense to have half the population taxed. See, they've been buying government debt. I mean, this poor family got out of oil and stayed in the bank and went to banking. Exxon is still again a quarter. They can profit $360 billion. Man, you got to think about that. It's not the money they're interested in; it's power. And the sustaining of their legacy, of course. You look at books like Robb Report, and they, the wealthy, they got $500,000 vehicles, they got yachts, they got underground houses and stuff. They're talking about protecting themselves as the class situation transition from a 3-class society to a 2-class society. You look at owners, managers, and subordinate workers. That's pretty much class. The middle class is only over the poor, and they manage them because those are police officers and shit like that. You know, the managers, you know, they don't have to touch the poor. It's a gap between them. But when that buffer is gone, what they got to do, they got to change the structure of society, and they're going to do it slowly, gradually, and this is what they've been doing. And what is it in for them to, again, why are they concerned with taxes? Again, you know, it's about 22 multinational corporations that buys all the debt, right? There's 11 corporations that owns pretty much everything we buy in America. You can look it up. I already done it. I'll put it in a link below. 11 powerful corporations, and you know, I looked up the families that started them, and I'm going to start a study that's going to go from the families, from those who started and how they have transitioned. Who are these people that's owning it today, and what's their affiliation with government, and how they are controlling government? Because again, you know, like let's say like Gable and Proctor. Under Gable and Proctor on this, you know what? I got it on my phone. Let me illustrate. Right quick. Let me illustrate. Right here. You see? The big corporation on the outside controlling all the little subordinate, you know, corporations. These are very wealthy people. You are not purchasing anything without, you know, putting money in these families' pockets. Procter and Gamble, Coca-Cola, Unilever, PepsiCo, Kellogg's, Mars, General Mills, Mondelez, which is a split from, I believe, Kellogg's or something like that. Johnson & Johnson, Kraft, and Heinz, you know, the football team owners. And Nestle has the largest. PepsiCo, like second largest. Then Procter & Gamble. Then Kraft. But anyway. These are the people that will be buying government debts. And therefore they're concerned with, you know, they're going to be, okay, we're going to create, you know, start a think tank. You can look up think tanks. In America, there's about 1,200 of them. The RAND Corporation is a think tank. It is a mighty think tank. Read about it. They'll say they got about 50,000 something degree folks with a collective of about 100 and some odd years of experience or some shit. They are very, man. Anyway. Yeah. The Bill Clinton administration, I had wrote on this, give an example of, this is what my postulate, okay. What happened in, you know, they tried to do the Obamacare way back under the Clinton administration, early 1990s. They just went back to the drawing boards and got it out later. Something quirk didn't pass, didn't think maybe, you know, not sure. Why would they care about what the public concerned with? Last time in the local election, which was a few months ago, in my city, Fort Worth, Texas, out of about 400 and some odd people voted, you know, registered voters, only about 9,000 people, you know, showed up. That number, what do you think that number was? Let's say about 30 years back. 20, 30,000 probably showed up. This number has been dwindling since. But I wouldn't say that it was a quirk in the bill that the public did not approve of in the early 90s. That's something you can look up if you're interested in. Do your research. Know why things going on. How things go on. See how it affects us. So, people like, oh, what this go on? What that go on? Just, why talk about things you don't know? You can understand if you want to. Anyway. Okay, yeah. Now back to the laws. Now, they had in the video they shared that there was a women council created in 2009. Women Council, the White House Girls and Women's Council. I looked it up just before I did this vlog. That there's also a Boys and Men's Council. Same year. But the stats, there's a Dr. Warren Farrell who speaks about 13 minutes on that page that talks about the crisis of boys. I also crossed a book that was stated that Fatherless America by another, here it is right here, in fact. Fatherless America, confronting our most urgent social problem. David Blankenhorn. Blankenhorn is one of America's most insightful advocates. Fatherless America is well-reasoned, empirically sound, and an important contribution to the public debate. But check this. What Mr. Farrell had revealed was that in 70 countries, developed nations, boys are behind girls. He said divorce produces daddy-deprived boys. And then he brought up the prison population growth rate in America from 1972 to, I believe, 2010. A 700% increase in the daddy-deprived boy population warehousing institutions. When they become grown men, of course. At the same time, when they made this women's council, women was graduating in these numbers. Associate's degrees, 62%. Bachelor's degrees, 57%. Master's degrees, 60%. PhDs at 52%. What was the purpose? What are they doing? I think this is class warfare, and I'll get back to that later. But let me share with you this. When they talked about the divorce, the family court, and accessing, male equal access to their children, and the feminist movement being against all these bills. Let's read what the OCSE is about. OCSE is the Office of Child Support Enforcement. This is the federal handbook that directs states if they want to receive TANF, then they got to do this. It's just like the federal government threatened that if you're not teaching transgender education in preschool and like pre-K and first grade, you can lose federal funding. What is this chaos about? Now, in 1996, Public Law 104-193, the Personal Responsibility and Work Opportunities Reconciliation Act of 1996 abolished AFDC and related programs and replaced them with the TANF Block Grant Program. Under this law, each state must operate a CSE, Child Support Enforcement Programs, meeting federal requirements in order to be eligible for TANF funding, TANF. This funding may be investment from rich folks. The reason why, now it's another debt they're going to transfer to the public for procreation. For procreation, this is a procreation tax. That's what I call it. Many of them may, fone. In addition to abolishing AFDC, Public Law 104-193 made about 50 changes in the CSE program, Child Support Enforcement Program. Many of them major. These changes include, this is the highlighted section. These changes include requiring states to increase the percentages of non-custodial parents identified as fathers. Increase your tax base. Establishing an integrated, automated network linking all states to information about the location of assets of parents, requiring states to implement more enforcement techniques and revising the rules governing the distribution of past due arrearage. Govern distribution. Okay. Arrearage, child support payments to former recipients of public assistance. It's a new Social Security tax or something, huh? That's what pays out. Also, father organization. This guy here, he's in. I read it a couple of years ago. He's out of Ohio. He's a head of a father's rights organization. And what he found out that for every dollar that the state of Ohio spends for child support enforcement, the federal government returns them back, I believe, $5.25. So that's a 525% increase for every dollar that you spend. You get that kind of money back. Do you think that that encourages some, let's say, unethical behavior? But who cares? You're subject. The 14th Amendment, point 4, it talks. I think if you read the entire 14th Amendment, it says that even though we're not 14th Amendment, but you know what? That's for another time. You're not even a citizen, black man, woman. How you treat it? You treat it like a citizen? All right. But I can't get into that right now. But it has to do with the Dred Scott case, never been overturned. And the 14th Amendment does not overturn it. There's no direct case that overturns that. Does not eliminate it. Anyway. Here's a citation of a case by the Supreme Court. The blessing. I'm going to have, you can pause it and maybe get it. Alright. The United States Supreme Court explaining the requirements that a state operate the child support program in substantial compliance with Title 4D was not intended to benefit individual children and custodial parents, and therefore it does not constitute a federal right. Far from creating an individual entitlement to services, the standard is simply a yardstick for the Secretary to measure the system-wide performance of a state's Title 4D program. Thus, the Secretary must look to the aggregate services provided by the state, not to whether the needs of any particular person may have been satisfied. So what is it about? So black man, as they, the boys are behind, the men are, under the thumb of, divorce and, that which they have tied laws to the natural drives of a human being to reproduce. They have made a cost association. Smart, ain't it? Water and defecation. Hey, that's what's next, maybe, huh? Now, for the fickle-minded man, that would see again. I'm sharing how things work. It is not to make the woman to some enemy. That is not, again, we cannot rise one gender at a time. We have to rise together. We have to be on the same page. We have to have a code of behavior. Certain things we should not do, and certain things we should keep. Most things we should keep the enemy out. Because in history, again, if black has never been respected, it has never been anything good in this country. That is psychological warfare. Anything that has a negative effect on you is warfare. Just like Japan, since '97, Hondas, Toyotas, Subarus is all Japan made. They'll send these. They fill up America with it. 97% trade. America get about 3% of business. They don't want nothing American. Remember Hiroshima, Nagasaki. These people, they would become. They were. This had, they dropped those bombs in '45. By 1970, they were an emerging nation. They were under occupation, but the culture, they could not be occupied because they had accepted themselves and they operated within their own sustainability. They didn't make it profitable for occupation to be there. What I'm saying. They kept their money within themselves and their circles. Now, let's make sense. Let's give a comparison. In a new perspective, okay, black folks, I think our purchasing power in America is about $1.4 trillion. Okay, if that's how much you're paid, that we're paid out, how much money are we generating? If I have a business and I can pay somebody $400 to do a job, how much money did I make off that job? I probably made $1,500. So just think that $1.4 trillion is probably what we generate is probably somewhere between $8 to $13 trillion is what we're generating. We're going to pay $1.4 trillion. Start thinking about what you're generating, not what you earn, but what you're generating for those who are producing and whom you're working for that is producing. There's no pride in consumption, bro. Pride is in producing. My children, they have that I didn't have access to. Two of them one in the military, one was in the military. My oldest or whatever, and their mother was married, and there was a man present, but their grandfather and their stepfather was ran by the women. So upon contact of my children, it does not seem that there was a man present. So it takes a certain quality of man to have an impact on a child. It's not just because there's a pair of balls in the house. It means something. What is the impact? I said there's 3 types of fathers, 2 categories: high impact, low impact, and no impact. These 2 kind of go together. Low impact seem to be worse. Hell, he stays around to do a fuck-up job. Give a bad impression of what they should expect of a man, or expect of themselves. Challenged in the military, challenged or put out. That's been the almost out and put out. That's what's going on. So it's still, again, just because there's a man in the house doesn't absolutely mean it means that you're going to avoid the statistic. Like the brother had said in the video, structured freedom. That's what you are to implement, a structured freedom. Because they got to develop within that era. I was born in '75, my children born in '90. We're not going to see things the same. I had that understanding. You got to develop in your own era, but I'm going to still pour, the wisdom and knowledge of interpretation of your realities as you go through life so you can be better informed or have better clarity. The better diagnostic or whatever, there'd be less errors if you're given a good thought filter to interpret your, navigate this life. You know, I had stated in the last video of the not an analogy, but what Dr. John Henry Clarke said. And again, if you watch the, a Fatherless America, you can go, you can think the same thing. You can think that, prophecy fulfilled. Dr. John Henry Clarke said that the black woman can escape the domination of the white man, she would join him in the oppression of you, black man. We see this going on in the society regardless, because the white man, he does not do fractions. So this context is about the nature of Caucasians, because when you study history, you study a constant, you get to read of actions and measure the actions. What your Bible says is you can determine a tree by the fruit it bears, right? So through history, I can understand the nature of a people. You can too. Anybody can. It depends on what filters are you using to read history. This is not, this has absolutely what happened. This is what, white man history written in blood. That's just it. He don't do fractions. Him and his woman are at war with each other because in his mind, in both of their minds, white man, white woman, there's no fraction. Either they got to be a winner or they got to be a loser. So in feminism, now it has progression is measured by how much can I make you lose and how much can I gain from you losing. Because that's the way that's the way the white man probably had done his moment. We ain't been in power, so we had not constructed social, we didn't put the infrastructure of society up. Therefore, it's going to be them. They control the society. That's their thing. We just caught in the middle of our fighting parents because my last name born at birth is Irish, and most of us don't have anything that's authentic to us prior to the impact of white contact. So you want to measure who we are, you need to go back before then, because after the infection of colonialism, whether it's Africa or America, you're not measuring or dealing with our nature, our natural selves, should I say like that. The pioneers of European psychoanalysts, Carl Jung and Erich Fromm, Sigmund Freud, in their studies of comparison, people of color and Europeans, they concluded that people of color they have different civilizations, low crime, low hierarchy, a more of a collective socialism type operation where they care for others and it was about sharing. The Caucasian does not. He have a barbed wire mentality. He's going to separate land, barbed wire and land ownership. That's a Caucasian thing. Cut up. This is mine. Like Dr. Llalia Afrika says on the cave trauma produced slave trauma. He ain't never dealt with, you read the Iceman Inheritance, they have proof that in the caves of Europe, these white folks will eat the oldest female first. You have female teeth marks and male teeth marks and the oldest bones in the damn cave. They deduced this. The Iceman Heritage, Michael Bradley. You can read that. I think Dr. John Henry Clarke did the foreword on that book. You gotta know the nature of these people, man. So in this allegiance, let's say our women, with the enemy, I'm not going to say this is not something she's doing consciously. Absolutely not. I'll give you an example. I'll give you an analogy. Let's say I got a classroom of 9-year-olds. I bring one up and says, you know what? You're above them. You're an outstanding student. I'm the adult. I'm the standard of authority. I'm the standard to follow. I am that. Which would possibly be compared to the Caucasian's position in society. How is that child going to deal with the rest of those children when the adult is out of the room? I'm gonna tell that child that you're better than them and you should go get your food first. Giving him exceptions, giving him not entitlements. How do you think he's gonna deal with those children? Like they're less than him. He has gotten adult approval or whatnot, and this is what will be done. As the female does seem, she can escape some of the domination that it's only deception. That's all it is. You're not going to be miserable. You can get under his wing, and guess what? You probably won't have a man in your life, just like this current standard of society is today. Because now you got these criteria and things that may not be reflective of a true understanding of what's going on. So even with that, she's, the black woman's still not your enemy, brother. We just pawns in somebody else's game. Dr. Helen Smith, I'm going to go in deep on the war. It's called War Against Manhood. That's what that was a book. Oh wow, that's another damn clip. A link I got to show, share. Dr. Helen Smith. I was watching one of her interviews, and they did a clip that was quite lengthy of different sitcoms of fathers playing buffoons and the mothers being the voice of reason. Childish, immature men, just buffoons. I'm like, wow. Sitcom after sitcom after sitcom. Now, if you listen to this video, start watching with a different view. What role and what is the father doing in the house? I knew this way back in the 90s. That's the reason why. What it was, I think I was watching UPN or something. About the last years of TV watching for my butt. Moesha. Single father, dad, and all that stuff, and damn children equal to the parent. That's what we screwed up at. You watching TV and you getting this, learning the repetition. Growing up and there was a difference. I knew, adults would be respected or whatever. These children has forgotten that. Because that's what's been in TV since the damn late 80s probably. Equal as, children equal to parents and crap. Confusion. And I'm not, everything is not, some things are not planned. This Caucasian, I'm gonna link Dr. Llalia Afrika video called "The Effect of Fairy Tales on Black Children," where he goes through, because this brother worked in psychotherapy for 10 years, and so he have a category: the African mindset and the Caucasian mindset. The African unifies spirit, mind, and body to understand. Number one. Number two, the Caucasian fragment and divides whole to understand. Is this his perspective or is it true? In sociology, when I was in college, this is what was given in racial sensitivity. A situation of this: a abstract math question was asked, and it was an African girl and a European male child. Boy, if there were 4 crows on a branch and one flew away and you threw a rock and knocked one off, how many would be? Well, the European boy answered 4 minus 1 equals 3. The African girl answered 0. because the rest will fly away. Unification, you see. She understood the nature of the spirit of the birds. There's no birds on one branch. See one get knocked off, that's going to stay there. Who is right? Who is wrong? Okay? So, and I got another example. I was looking at the this review for this product called the Buddy Heater. Now on the box it says for indoor outdoor use, but also on the box it says use in a ventilated area. I see this a lot, contradictions and conflicting, concepts for the same thing in the Caucasian world. It's like I live, and when many times I have to instruct people how to do the damn job, man, when they're serving me. So it won't be something you got to do over. A liquefied, a straight, smooth transaction, whatever. Number two, truth and false are different for the African mind. Truth and false are the same and correct for the Caucasian mind. I can understand that because I'm seeing in debates where, you want to bring up these fickle ass, sometimes when it's about law and the existence and the difference in how law has been applied to black and white people. They don't have a problem with it. They don't see the problem, the disparities. And truth ain't in his ass. He don't understand the concepts of truth and there being a difference. If it's believable, if it sounds good narrative, it's truth with him. Hey, you give me enough time, hell, I can make dog doodle on a goddamn paper plate on your coffee table seem intelligent. I can put some words together and make that shit sound intelligent. Yeah, it's a conversation piece. The African mind. Purpose of thoughts and actions are for Maya. Purpose of thought and actions are for Maya, which is Maya being balanced. Purpose for the Caucasian. Purpose of thought is to control nature, others, and power. Back to that non-fraction. Yeah, he don't do fractions, right? He don't do fractions. Back to that. And the last, thoughts are connected holistically. The Caucasian, thoughts are connected by fragmented ideas. Back to number one. I'm going to link the video. You can see it. And that's only a 5-minute section of a whole 5-minute section of a whole video. It's grainy as hell, unfortunately. Not my video, but it's on YouTube. I need maybe a directional mic that can really cut out the interference. I'm looking into it. Walmart is not the place to go. I just put it like that. I'm not trying to order anything though. I want to go pick up. Because up here it's like, okay, you got a building with a door that, you can't get to the mailboxes and they want to leave shit outside the door. Not doing it. And the buzzer thing doesn't work. They can't communicate. behavior code is development of the man. In the last video, I remember that now. That's the reason why I listed that. I said the matrilineal. Dr. Llalia Afrika, Dr. John Henry Clark. He talked about how he experienced this as he traveled Africa in his life, and as he read and understood it through history. As I said, I don't have a problem with it, but he did state a context of why, okay, we ought to help each other out. And at this time, I'm more patriotic right now, because until the man puts a order into a new code, we need a code of behavior. Until he do that, then our women is going to be in allegiance with the Caucasian, because that's the only world she know of. And we're gonna, and it's easy to, and unfortunately, it's easy to fool the woman. She would, I don't meet women who tell their children to question everything and be, and not be in constant harmony with society. That's not their nature to do so. That would be our nature to do so, as we understand that we are functioning in a capacity to our own disadvantage, to our own disadvantage. And we're continuously producing children that's growing up to perpetuate our disadvantage. Because as a man, it's like, honestly, this is what we're telling our sons: boy, I ain't leaving you nothing but a job. I'm going to take this phallic insert and you can put it in your butt. That's about all you're doing. You ain't producing. Again, other people's, for their communities, that's all I want. Why we can't do the same? Are we not worthy? Do we not want more control over our own destiny? Well, you need to turn off the TV. Stop, being plugged into the matrix that's going to tell you black ain't shit. You can't do shit. You need white folks to direct your actions. It's in your education. It's going to be maintained through your media. The government was giving out converter boxes for no reason. They need you plugged into the matrix. I kind of touched on that last video, history of families controlling social trends. I don't want to get into that. I don't want to get into that. This is kind of something I like my last video. This one's kind of like, I was kind of all over the place, but I try to be clear, in my little each section. Well, that's about all I'm going to do for today. New amount of minutes. Maybe like 50-ish. But anyway, this is the reason why there's a time limit. Was always taught of a time limit given on Caucasian rule. Because it's nature. Again, he's a mutant. A mutation is not consistent with evolution. Evolution is adapting to environment and evolving. The sun gives life to everything on the planet. The sun did not give him life. He is genetically weak blood, most diseased, very sick. He is not to be here long. And since his birth rate is in a negative, and it was predicted, they've been seeing this crap. They've been talking about the man origin from monkeys for over 100 years. They know their origin. Child support came about in 1975. Came about back in 1975. They've seen the numbers. They've been writing about it since the 90s. The browning of America and crap like that. So, would I say I like me. I ain't gonna say I like me. This is what I'm thinking. I ain't gonna say a postulate as in truth. This is something that it's gonna be read and maybe found out about, because it's an interest, and the law of attraction will bring an answer for me. At least in that context, that's where I know it You know, when I want to know something, it comes to me. But I think it was geared towards people of color. They're gonna make money off of it because, again, ever since white man crawled out the caves, since he is not a BC people, he have no civilization of any significance in the BC era, and our pyramids was built 3, 4, 5,000 years prior to the AD era. We have civilizations. We have the genetic diversity to prove it. He doesn't. He's a copy and a cloner. He go around the world and bring back ideas and patent it and make his, make fortunes. You know, just like I'm in Chicago, I see these metal doors over vacant buildings and coverings and stuff. I'm like, that's a business. For Texas, I never seen that before. To protect people from vandalizing vacant homes, you produce these welded doors, not welded, but these coverings that you can bolt on to these, minimum damage or whatever, vacant structures to protect them. So, just an idea, how that works in that context of a, I'm not looking to the business. I'm just saying it's a business idea. No, it's not. But that's it. The time frame and all that stuff, yeah.